Hey, fellow babies. Welcome back to Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. We're struggling along, but we appreciate your Patreon patronage. So if you are a patron, thank you. If you have a Twitch account and you're an Amazon Prime member, can you link your Twitch Prime account to your Amazon Prime account? They'll pay us. Cost you nothing. You're already paying for it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also sponsor us there. So instructions are in the show description. From SIFTD, our question from Toast9. Why do you think PlayStation just closed the online stores for PS3, Vita, and PSP? Surely there's not much cost involved in leaving them open. It appears that Sony is skipping E3 again. Is Jim Ryan the right leader for PlayStation going forward? Wow. Look, it's a profit deal. I think you're right. There's not much cost in keeping the PS3 store open. They tend to kind of be strong supporters of the prior generation console, and they tend to lose interest in the 2 generations ago. So when the PS3 launched, the support for the PS1 pretty much stopped. When the PS4 launched, support for the PS2 pretty much stopped. So this is kind of par for the course. Now, I can't tell you that they closed the stores because I don't remember whether they did or not, but those things faded away. And the real answer is that there's not that many people playing those games. I think you can probably still buy most of the games, maybe not the Sony first party. I think you can still buy probably EA, games from PS3 era, but I'm not 100% sure. Vita and PSP were a failed experiment. They just screwed up. They went after Nintendo's market. They over-engineered their device. Nintendo owned the market, had all the software support, and PSP and Vita just never got the titles that they needed to make money. So I'm actually surprised that PSP was even supported as recently as this year. And Vita, I thought they would discontinue, 5 years ago. So it's not the cost as much as it is just that they kind of like to support what they're doing currently, which is PS5, and what they did most recently, which is PS4, and they're going to focus. So I think it's really more a function of focus and cutting losses than anything else. Skipping E3 again, yeah, I got to say, I can't identify all the good things that Jim Ryan's done, and I'm sure there are many, but I think the single bad thing he's done is de-emphasizing E3. I'm a big fan of E3. I think E3 is essential to driving, global awareness of the games industry. I think it is essential that the console manufacturers and the publishers support their lobbying group, which is the ESA, to make sure that Congress doesn't legislate against violence in games or sale of games to minors or in-app purchases. Try to outlaw things. Anything that is anti-industry, the ESA will kind of fight on their behalf, and it's important that they support them, and the biggest way to support them is E3. So I think pulling out E3 is just a bad move. I think it was a bad move a couple of years ago. I think it's a bad move this year. Whether he is the right leader for PlayStation going forward, PlayStation has had a lot of leaders. They've had, Kodera, Andy House, and Jim Ryan just in maybe the last 3 or 4 years. I think that that's a company that can't really settle on who they want. My bias is that it's a Japanese company that has a bias in favor of Japanese leadership, and I think any person who's not Japanese is going to be considered an outsider by that management team. So I think that he's in a difficult position because he's trying to cater to, a Japanese focused company, but the bulk of his profits come from, the West, from Europe and US and Latin America. So I think he's just got a tough job. PlayStation's done pretty well under his watch. So, just based on results, absolutely he's the right leader. Based on his strategic decision to skip E3, bad mistake. I don't want to bash Jim Ryan. I mean, the single mistake he made really is skipping E3. It's a mistake. So I hope that answers your question. I don't really know enough about what he's done right, but I will say they're going to win this console generation, and they're winning so far. Yeah, I know Nintendo fanboys Switch is winning, but in the long run, PlayStation is going to be the console of choice. They've done a great job with that. Microsoft's going to make a ton of money on Game Pass, but Sony is going to make a ton of money selling consoles and software. So he's leading them, to profitability, and that's important. And PlayStation profits are a giant chunk of Sony profits. So if they think they can do better, I'm sure they will replace him. And if they don't, I'm sure he will stay there until he retires. He's in his 60s, so he's not a young kid. My guess is he was put in to leave in 3 or 4 or 5 years. It's been a couple of years so far, so my guess is he'll be leaving in the next 2 or 3 years as he gets approaches 65. That's just kind of par for the course at Sony. Thanks for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're a Patreon patron, we thank you for your patronage. If you're a Twitch Prime member and you have linked your account to your Amazon Prime account, thank you very much for getting paid. If you are subscribing on YouTube, thank you very much for your support. If you're doing none of those, follow Shane at Dinfire on Twitter. Follow Sifted at Sifted Games on Twitter. Follow me at Michael Pachter on Twitter. We'll see you next time.